Guy asked, just for posterity, can you explain to us why you prefer the second ed over third ed setting? I started out in second ed, and it was quite good. It fit together quite well. It felt like a universe that had been built upon slowly, and all the interrelationships made sense in character, as well as everything having a place and everyone having a role to fill. A lot of the stuff was very heavily built into archetypes. The history all made sense. It felt like a decent world that made sense as the ultimate, as the consequence of hundreds of years of politics between various vampire clans, and as a consequence of their ancient histories and origins. So it was a very well together, cohesive setting that worked together well. And also, from a game design standpoint, all the different clans had something else to offer, and they had a role to play in the overall political situation. Like the Assamites with their noble assassin thing. Yeah, they had the reasons for being a noble assassin, but the existence of basically the assassin caste in the vampire world helped the vampire world in its own way. All the clans had a role, and it worked from a story standpoint why they filled those roles. Then third edition came along. They started fucking with things to cover up with the fact that they didn't have any new ideas to bring to the table. And also, you started seeing the severe power escalation after each new release, and where they started introducing more and more new disciplines that could trump other disciplines. Combo disciplines were particularly bad for this. They started pumping up everything because they were trying to cater to not to their original core audience, which was this kind of more artsy drama club crowd, but they started trying to eat into D&D's dollars. They were trying to expand their market, and they did this by pandering, and a lot of pandering came about from White Wolf towards the end as they got into third ed, and especially towards the very end of third ed. So you had this severe power escalation, everything got more and more badassery and all that, and became less and less about the story and more about stats and new powers and stuff. It was like opening up D&D and getting new feats every time if you started opening up the supplements. And it got even worse when they started introducing the new supernaturals. You got the Kuei Jin, the Kindred of the East, and the Demon the Fallen. And Demon the Fallen, not only did they introduce yet another thing that could kick everything else's ass, which everyone, all the twinks went out and bought because they wanted to play the character that could kick everyone's ass. So they had to go buy out the new thing that could kick everyone's ass, including the thing they released last month that could kick everyone's ass. And it just got ridiculous. And then Demon the Fallen, it just had no new ideas in it. It didn't scan right as being demons at all. It was just some kind of weird possession thing. And it doesn't even make sense from the standpoint of demonic possession. It just didn't make any sense. And also the roles and everything were just kind of recycled. That's all they did, is they recycled their old ideas to make a new type supernatural that was even more powerful than everything else. And this is the kind of bullshit that happened with all the releases that came out in the second ed or in the third ed rollout. It also, a third edition marked the time when White Wolf became a huge drama factory where everything was just the product of some of the most prima donna Mary Sue bullshit you ever encountered. You had entire sections of the game world be eliminated just because a particular editor didn't like them. The Ravnos were eliminated just because somebody at White Wolf did not like them particularly much and thought they were silly. Not because anyone thought they were unpopular or anything, but that one guy didn't like him. That's why they died. That's it. And you got even the pettiest thing I've ever seen out of a game company, and that is saying something, is the fact, you know, all those special characters that show up in the front of the third ed clan novels and books and all that? Those aren't characters that they wrote and tried to, incorporate in the game world because they thought they'd be good characters. Those are the PCs of White Wolf employees. Yeah, they wrote their PCs into the game world and made them the most important things in it. I hope you're as shocked by that revelation as I was. And then they gave Bruja all their Bruja Serpentis, and if they were playing a Malkavian, he had Potence 4. And it was just the biggest. I don't even know how to describe how amazed I am by that fact to this day. So, third edition just started filling up with shit, and then they gave it a third shitty ending. So, when this started coming out and third edition started rolling out, I just kind of looked at it and said, I'm not following you on this because this wavers between just complete assholery and your own bizarre form of wish fulfillment. And, you can just fuck off, White Wolf. This is not what I signed up for. And I'm not buying a book to listen to how you make yourself sound great over and over again. So they lost my respect and they lost my money at that point. And I just completely ignore third edition and all that came from it. Tommy asked, what is your opinion on character journals? Are they going to be back in the works anytime soon, or are you never going to put them back up? The journals were a mixed bag. They were frequently abused, which was really the reason to take them down. That and just the problems with them from a security standpoint. People often trying to poison the well would go in and type in everything that everyone is thinking about what happened is wrong. This is what really happened. Dear diary. Oh, everyone is against me, but they shouldn't be. And that turned around, and they knew they were going to be read, and the hope is that instead of them actually having to clear their name and through role play, they could just write this thing and people would read it, and that would change how people were role playing. And often it worked, unfortunately. So that's what often happened with the journals, and that's part of the reason they were taken down. But at the same time, there was some really cool stuff that came out of the journals, some really well-written, cool little insights into the world came up, and I do miss them on occasion. But they did cause a lot of headaches. Eventually, what's going to replace them is going to be the character page system that we're working on and off. I have other things to do. I have to work, so they're not coming along all the time. But eventually that's going to replace the functionality of the journals, and we're going to have an ability to write journal entries on that. But don't hold your breath. What does Louis do in his spare time? Well, when you don't see him, Louis is mainly dealing with upper echelon clan politics. He's fairly influential in the Ventrue, and he deals with people throughout his area of the country and all that. So that's what Louis is mainly doing when he's out of the spotlight. He's also dealing with the various minutiae of running the city. He has a lot of fingers and a lot of pies in New Corsica that keep things the way he wants it. On his spare time, he still designs buildings. He's still an active architect, and that is his art, so to say. Many of the buildings in New Corsica are based on his designs, or they're approved by him if he didn't design them. He also plays chess, because any good venture plays chess.